If it's one particular thing that I specifically love about social media, YouTube in particular, is you'll most definitely see and hear the opinions of other critical thinkers, letting you know it's not just you that feels or thinks a certain way. What's also nice is the ability to use others' statements on the matter instead of just your own when sharing your thoughts on any particular subject. For example, I believe from the beginning that Trump's attempted attack was a ruse, a false flag, fake news. And with all of the new info and extra footage that's becoming available, extra verbal context, it just gets more and more fake by the moment.
Good afternoon. This is the rooftop where federal agents say Thomas Matthew Crooks tried to assassinate former President Donald Trump. The rally was taking place where you can see that American flag blowing in the distance. It's only about 200 yards away from where we are standing. This is now an active crime scene. We are being kept away from the immediate area. But throughout the morning, we've seen state and federal agents coming and going. We've also learned that the shooter reportedly purchased 50 rounds of ammunition in the hours before this tragedy. Federal law enforcement sources tell us it was local law enforcement who had responsibility for securing the rooftop. It was rally goers who first spotted the gunman crawling on top of the building. Sources tell us one officer climbed to the top of the roof, saw Crooks armed with a rifle, and retreated. Soon after that, Crooks began to fire, according to the source. And we know moments later, a Secret Service counter sniper shot and killed the gunman. The Secret Service now pushing back against criticisms over its handling of security for this rally, and the Secret Service director saying she's committed to working with both state and federal agents to make sure something like this never happens again.
Well, Will Geddes is now ready. He's an international security expert. You may have just heard me, Will, morning to you, discussing how on earth someone in such an obvious rooftop position with a clear line of sight
Morning.
to the former president, how on earth they weren't picked up on by the security services, how they were able to get on the roof and mount a rifle in such vision and in such clear view of everyone and get to the stage where they can actually fire shots.
It's astounding, Christo. I'll be honest with you. There is something a little bit fishy about this situation because ultimately, you know, when you're running the protection of a principal, one of the biggest concerns that you will always have is if you're taking them into open spaces, it could be out either singing, promoting, talking, you know, canvassing, whatever it might be, that wherever you have that event, you want to lock it down, secure it as much as possible. And the Secret Service that will be attached to President Trump should have got all of the highest positions, the overviews that there would be of the event space covered. And that's not only the spaces that they themselves can then observe everybody who may be on the ground, anybody who might be in the vicinity, anybody who might be approaching the vicinity, but also on other rooftops, in apartment windows, in office windows. So there's something a little bit suspicious about this. To put it mildly.
When you say suspicious, what do you quite mean by that?
Well, it really falls into one of two areas, Chris. There is either incompetence in terms of the security planning, or collaboration or collusion in terms of enabling there to be a vacuum, a void within the security that could be potentially filled. I hope it's not. I mean, I hope it's neither, to be absolutely honest with you. But at the moment, it's very difficult to draw any speculation as it to being, you know, either one or the other.
Is there any defence, perhaps, that the Secret Service can plead on this because apparently it was outside of the perimeter of their remit, if you like, that this shooter was on a roof quite far away, apparently from this rally. So is that anything that they can say that perhaps they couldn't have foreseen?
Not really. I think, again, I'm finding this really difficult for it to be a defensible position by the Secret Service, unless there was such a lapse or there was some breakdown or failure obviously by someone within the Secret Service. Now, Krista, don't get me wrong. I know and have some friends who are in the Secret Service, and they are incredibly competent, and they're very well rehearsed and very well experienced, having had numerous attempts, assassination attempts of various different types against former presidents. So I know that they have their game plan very well set out. But the concern is, and I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories, Christo. You and I have known each other a number of years, and when have you ever heard me endorse a conspiracy theory? But this is just very, very odd that this open position, and with rifles, whether it be something which is built to shoot from with a parabellum from a great distance, there are some serious questions to be asked that. You try and put your principal into a pocket of security that they can.
Here, I'll finish that for you. What he was saying is the Secret Service's job is to put the principal, in this case Trump, into a pocket of security that they, the principal, can't be seen or targeted. They are also not exposed to any threat beyond that pocket's walls. Each agent has on a bulletproof jacket, and they usually double the agent wall. Like there's agents covering the principal, and then there's agents covering the agents that are covering the principal. Does this look like what I just explained?
Well, want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. We ready?
Okay, we are watching live at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President Trump was speaking on the stage. There has been some kind of disturbance that clearly sets law enforcement and Secret Service into motion, immediately jumping around the former president in a protective mode. The crowd has been screaming. They are standing by. You can hear some voices there saying, "Are we ready to go? Are we ready to go?" We are looking at President Trump. This does not look good. I'm going to be honest with you. From what we can see right here, it looks like they are attempting to move him out, that he may have been injured. He is holding up his arm. He is pumping his fist, but clearly Secret Service wants to get him out of this situation.
No, it doesn't. There is no way real Secret Service agents would have allowed him to stick that orange top of his out like that, raise a defiant fist, and rally a chant with multiple fist pumps, with a fucking active shooter on scene. Especially when it hasn't yet been determined if this is a lone shooter. None of this makes any sense at all. There's so much that I can say and point out on why this looks staged, like how the sniper has his weapon trained on the shooter, a shooter who's pointing his weapon directly at the principal and is able to still get off multiple rounds. That's ridiculous.
It is exactly what these counter snipers train to do. But this was the first time in history, according to a former senior agent, that a Secret Service sniper killed a would-be assassin. But clearly a shot too late. In the moments leading up to the deadly shooting, you can see those two counter-snipers scanning for threats in their positions on the rooftop behind former President Trump. Their high-powered rifles appear to be pointed in the direction of the gunman's position on an adjacent building overlooking the rally. Within seconds, chaos.
He's going down! He's on the roof! He's going down!
Stand here. He's on top of the roof. Don't go over there.
The sniper appears momentarily startled by the gunfire, his face leaving the scope, but then quickly recovering and taking out the would-be assassin.
There's no room for error, so that shot placement has to be absolutely precise.
We can see the guy there.
Authorities saying this is the lifeless body of the shooter on the roof of that building. According to a former agent, Secret Service counter-sniper teams should have scoped out and advanced all those areas where there were potential threats beforehand and known what the line of sight to Trump could be.
The fact that somebody was able to get within 200 yards with a rifle and be on an exposed rooftop, be seen by other people there, be seen by where it should have been cameras and drones and many other things in place, to watch for that, something broke down. That shooter with that rifle should have never been that close to the former president of the United States at a venue like this.
So let's bring in Martha Raddatz on that point tonight. And Martha, you said it would be up to a Secret Service sniper team to have surveyed those buildings even beyond the perimeter, the security perimeter there. And the other question, though, is even if they had, is there an explanation as to why they wouldn't have seen that suspected shooter suddenly appear on the roof during that rally? This was some 8 minutes into the rally.
David, it's really unclear why they did not see him sooner. He obviously had time to climb onto that rooftop with a rifle, get in position to shoot, take aim, and fire off rounds that were accurate enough to come very close to killing former President Trump, David. I've really never seen so many law enforcement officials, former law enforcement officials especially, saying publicly that this was a failure on the part of the Secret Service.
And what about what this former U.S. Army sniper says about the attempt?
And former U.S. Army sniper Corey Mills. What kind of shot was this, Corey, from 130 yards?
Look, at the end of the day, this is a shot that your basic training boot camp soldier is requested to make within their 9-week period. This is one of the easiest shots, and they train all the way out till 300 or 500. And when I was doing the counter sniper, it wasn't with the United States Army. It was actually when I was with the State Department and was doing this exact thing, which is trying to look at going out with an advanced team, establishing what the perimeter is. And then as a sniper, when you would set up, you'd put together your range sketch or your range fan cards. And that would tell you where your 100, your 200, your 300, and you'd identify the areas of threat that you would be able to mitigate. And if there's multiple targets, you understand that your elevation and windage knob wouldn't have to be messed with, especially at 160 yards. You could literally just look, quickly glance, and know from the reference point, whether it be a building, whether it be a lone tree, whether it be a parking lot, maybe it's a road. Bottom line is that this is massive negligence to the point of me speculating on what was intentional and what wasn't.
You're seeing this rooftop not that far away. Why did it look like the counter sniper team was a little surprised?
You know, I can only speculate, and we'll have to wait until the investigation comes out, that they thought local law enforcement was potentially climbing up onto the roof when they saw a dark object on a light roof. But here's the issue.
Wait, you're saying maybe they misconstrued Crooks for a friendly, for local law enforcement?
It's very possible. I don't want to speculate until the investigation is over, but the bottom line is that if you saw someone climbing onto a roof that you hadn't authorized any clearance on, it's got a clear line of sight. It's exactly adjacent to the shooting where the president was sitting, and you're talking about a pop shot, and you got people yelling, and there should have been comms. The minute that local law enforcement, who apparently had a rifle pointed on, there should have been an emergency frequent comms channel that they could have said, we have a shooter on the roof, shooter on the roof. Secret Service should have rushed the stage and immediately took the president and took him off, and then responded to the counter sniper. The shot should not have gone off. That is the failure in itself. You're supposed to be able to try, the best security is when you go in and you're actually able to prevent an incident, not react to an incident.
So when you have these counter snipers waiting until 8 rounds are fired, what accounts for that?
To be honest with
After
you,
the first shot, you get a return fire immediately?
the minute that a shot rang out, they should have already been on scope. Your spotter should have already have called the distance if you hadn't looked at your range card, and you should have immediately engaged. Okay. There should have been no reason to have waited a single second. But the bottom line is this is a massive security breach. This is a huge failure. At negligence is at best. But we have to figure out why something within 200 yards. Think about this, Jesse, 200 yards. That means that an average rifle that holds 1 minute of angle would hold a 2-inch grouping if you just shot it straight off the deck, meaning on a platform. So now you're talking about 160, which is 1.6 inches is what its grouping capabilities are. The average head is what? 6 by 8, shoulder to shoulder is 20 inches, head to waist is 40 inches, and President Trump's a very large man. This is a shot that within 5 minutes I could teach you to make 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. And there's plenty more out there in the YouTube information sphere.
A 20-year-old kid who he's working at some sort of nursing home. He's not all that advanced in terms of his thinking and logistics and so forth. He gets inside of an area where the Secret Service has to have done their detail. They are supposed to look and see where the threats are. And anyone, a 5th grader, a 10th grader would have said, hey, listen, that building right there, rather than leaving it unoccupied and not looking at it. Matter of fact, you probably would have had people, snipers, on there as well. And you've got other people that are calling this out. There's just some problems with this all around. So I want to play this little timeline, this countdown to show some of the things that are happening. Let you look at it to help you to see why I am not getting the right kind of vibes. Now, I'm going to cut off parts of it. I won't let it play all the way through, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him?
So what we have are these people that are saying right when Trump is up, at the same time what's happening other places. And there are people that are pointing out that there is somebody on the roof moving with a rifle. How they don't see it. Again, there are trained men with their guns trained on that area, that they don't see this. There are people pointing over that area, pointing. There it is. There's got to be something on the chatter, on the walkie-talkies, on their communications to say that, hey, there's something going on. Somebody's got to be talking to someone, even if they don't get it instantaneously. Listen to how long it takes for them, as they're pointing this out, for the actual shots to ring out.
He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And son, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Because these teleprompters are so
I don't know if you notice, people look over there looking, and you hear one guy say, officer. Another guy is reported to have said, telling the officers they see him climb down from one rooftop to get onto it, to that particular rooftop with his rifle, and no one's communicating this. And the guy's like, why is Trump even still up there speaking? There's a threat there.
I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So
we're at this point, we are almost a minute and a half into this. They should have responded a lot better. And so it just makes you wonder, who's not getting the information, or are they getting the information, and what are they doing with it? This is where the fishiness, the smell is starting to come in.
So that arrow is the lowest amount of...
So almost up to 2 minutes, we see this taking place. There's something that just doesn't seem right.
Some things are above politics. I have many questions. I don't understand how anyone could get within 130 yards of a former president and a major candidate with a AR gun and the Secret Service not know it. I don't understand how people could be at the event telling them that man has a gun. Regular folks see him, but the authorities don't. Now, everybody's eyes work the same way. And they see the man climbing the wall and point it out, say he has a gun. And no one sees it until he fires. I just, I don't want to say too much because I don't know any more than you know, but I don't see how that's possible. That a shooter, a 20-year-old shooter, the boy with his last name Crooks, no older than 20, could get on the roof of a building 130 yards away and have a direct sight. And all those Secret Service agents didn't see it.
Is more really necessary to prove that this was probably a fix? I don't think it is. I don't think that it's necessary.